الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. أما بعد, these are the final moments of Ramadan 1446 in our calendar, and there's always a climax to so much activity and so much ibadah, and so much sacrifice, so much desire, passion, dua, so many other forms of ibadah that the Muslim Ummah carries with them throughout the month of Ramadan. Ramadan is a month of guidance, a month of the Quran, as we all know, and the Quran is revealed for guidance. So in this month, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives hidayah to the Muslim Ummah as a proof that the Quran is the haqq and the truth, and so on. So as you all know the ayah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان, the very often quoted ayah at the beginning of Ramadan and throughout the Ramadan, and is a very dear ayah to all of us, that the month of Ramadan is a month in which the Quran is revealed. So the month of Ramadan belongs to the Quran. And as a proof that the Quran is a guidance, Allah gives guidance to Muslims to fast in the day and to pray at night and to help each other and to be close to each other and to be generous towards each other. So the guidance comes from the idea that the Quran is being revealed. So when the Quran is revealed, there's nothing but nur around the Muslims. So Muslims, whether they realize it or not, are surrounded by the nur of the Quran, because the Quran, according to the Quran, is being revealed. Unzila fihi al-Quran. Yeah, so whether we are aware or unaware, conscious or not conscious, of the immense nur that covers us and, drowns us literally in the month of Ramadan, and that stimulates tawfiq from Allah. Every action has to be stimulated by something outside of that action. So what stimulates Muslims to fill up the masjid and to give sadaqah and, zakat, and to feed everybody for iftar and to help everybody, and what stimulates their hearts to be soft and what makes them super religious. So if you were outside of Ramadan and you observe the Muslim Ummah from above, then you would say they're a bunch of losers. They don't do anything. Yeah, they're useless people. They can't do anything. Then all of a sudden, the switch is turned on, and this is a totally different species. So, wow, what is this? Now they're praying, they're in the masjid, they're fasting, they're making dua. Now they look like Muslims. So what is that switch that stimulates this behavior, which you might call tawfiq from Allah? And that stimulant is the revelation of the Quran itself. The Quran is being revealed, and as a byproduct of that revelation, Allah gives Muslims tawfiq and stimulates Muslims to worship Him, which is what the Quran says, hudan linnas, guidance for people, but more than that, bayyinatim min al-huda, evidences of guidance. What more evidence is there than you see all the masajid full and everybody's now pious and everybody's religious and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do outside of Ramadan? So these are evidences and proofs that there is immense hidayah and guidance which Muslims perform, and that establishes the reality that the month is blessed because the Quran is being revealed. Unzila fihi al-Quran. And that is what you must take from this ayah. And as you know, mashallah, some of you may have, finished your Quran khatam already. May Allah accept. Some of you are still probably getting to the point where you're going to be, inshallah, in the last surah of the Quran and then Surah Baqarah again. And Allah give tawfiq and accept. Whichever way it is, we are so blessed, but our blessings come from a cosmological reality and an eternal fadl of Allah, which is called the Quran. So Ramadan and Quran go together. Fasting is a byproduct of the Quran being revealed, not the other way around. Some people assume that Ramadan is the month of fasting. Well, that's correct, but it's not accurate. It's not absolutely totally true. There is some other some variables you need to put into the mix before you get to, okay. So now the process is Allah through His fadl reveals the Quran in this blessed month, and the word Ramadan, by the way, is actually a name of Allah. It's a sifa of Allah. So now when He's revealing His sifa, His now attribute and His quality, that brings down a certain nur. That nur stimulates Muslims to do what pleases Allah. And that's how you fast, that's how you read the Quran, that's how you listen to the Quran, that's how you give sadaqah, that's how you give zakat, and that's how you help people do whatever it is they need to be helped with. So that's the process. Now, I think we should get the taxonomy right and get the theology right first. Okay, the aqidah has to be correct in our minds, so we benefit totally and wholesomely from the ayat and see ourselves as living proofs of Allah's tawfiq and hidayah. Allah's tawfiq and hidayah is not abstract. Is not suspended in mid-air. It lives with the living Muslim. So the Muslim carries the hidayah. The Muslim carries the nur. The Muslim represents Allah's tawfiq. So what is now our, inshallah, hope? That Muslims continue to bear the nur and the hidayah and the tawfiq outside of Ramadan also. So they must carry this with them outside of the time of Ramadan and outside of the, all the benefits of Ramadan, and maintain a certain level of istiqamah and so on. So this is how we should see the ayah, that the Quran is revealed in Ramadan, and as a result of the Quran being revealed, Allah's tawfiq comes. So now you'll see that, mashallah. If the Quran is so powerful, you might be asking, how come the Quran was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, and there were people like Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl around him, so why did they not benefit from hidayah? Meaning that if there's a rain, you have a rainstorm or a shower, then how come everybody does not benefit? How come Abu Jahl did not benefit from the shower, from the rain, and so on? So that is where the nafs comes in, and that is where we seek now the original hidayah of Islam. So only Muslims will benefit from the Quran being revealed and from the hidayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the meaning of the word furqan. In the ayah, the word furqan is there at the end. بَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ, a criterion The criterion separates those who benefit and those who do not benefit. So now the hidayah, meaning the rain is there, but if people choose to step outside of the rain, or people want to wear scuba diving, clothing, and they want to guard themselves with plastic over them, then obviously the rain will not touch them. So the kafir, which means the one who covers, kufr means to cover and hide. The kafir, he covers his ability to receive the rain of hidayah by putting all this plastic and covering over himself, so he won't benefit. So you have to open your mind and your heart for the tawfiq and the hidayah to come into you. But if you cover yourself, which the kafir does, then you will not benefit, and that is called furqan, a separation, a criterion between haqq and batil, a differentiator between the truth and falsehood. So falsehood will still exist even though the Quran is being revealed, because of the innate ingratitude of the kafir. The kafir simply does not want to acquiesce that there is a creator maker, and that creator maker wants him to worship him, and they do not realize that this is a natural order, that whoever does you a favor, you should respond, reciprocate, and they should see all the favors Allah gives them throughout the day and night, and throughout the year, and throughout the cosmos. But they don't see that. They don't see the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and therefore they choose through their own volition not to show gratitude towards the mun'im, the one who gives ni'mah. They choose to hide it, and because they choose to hide it, they're called the kafir, meaning the non-believer, the one who hides his potential to appreciate Allah, the Rasul, the Quran, and Islam. So this is now what do we do as Muslims? This is where the ayah Hudal Nas comes in, right in the beginning. There's a portion of the ayah which says guidance for mankind. So now this guidance is there in front of mankind if mankind opens its hearts and minds towards the guidance. And you can see that the guidance now hits them. Your non-Muslim friends, colleagues, neighbors, whoever, your co-workers, when they know you're fasting, they're amazed, and they can't comprehend or fathom the idea that you stay hungry and thirsty throughout the day. And then number two, they know they can't even deceive you to eat. They can't entice you to eat. They can't blackmail you to eat. Many people have tried on the streets of the world, where they go and test Muslims on the street. Hey, you're fasting today? Yeah, I'm fasting. So, okay, how about if I give you a piece of chocolate? Say, no, no way. How about I give you $100? No way. How about I give you a phone? No, no way. Muslims cannot be tempted to break their fast. Even a child who's fasting, if the mother wants to test the child and say, hey, have a piece of candy, get lost. The child will say, no, no, because that's the sense of taqwa fasting develops. So that is evidence of guidance, and is a guidance for mankind. So mankind sees that this is guidance from Allah, because there's no power on the planet that can force you to regulate your eating. We've been there, done that, what do you call it? Diet plans? Yeah, right. Good luck with that. Right. Your mother shouting at you, stop eating? No. Your doctor telling you gotta lose weight? Yeah, okay. I'll come back next week. There's no power on the planet that can regulate a human being in terms of his food. This power is the power of the unseen, Allah, the ghaib. Now, all of a sudden, Ramadan comes in, and then the Muslim, mashallah, he said, okay, I'm not eating. That's it, finished. So somebody who looking from the outside, said, I don't understand. I don't get Muslims. They're either super lunatics or they're just so devoted to, worshippers in Ramadan. They become another species. And so I'm saying this is guidance for mankind. Mankind sees what Muslims do, and it's in the Muslim action that guidance will spread. Guidance doesn't necessarily spread by giving, long lectures on Islam and so on, or by having seminars and, symposiums and writing books. Some people do. There's no doubt that some people come into Islam by reading books. I'm not denying that. But I'm saying, but if you want a worldwide, what is called a distribution of Islam, then we have to reform our actions. Once we see that our actions are showing the non-Muslim who we are, that we have furqan, which means we are different. When your neighbor sees you praying, he knows you're different. When a neighbor sees everybody going for Hajj, all 3 million of them going around this one box, one house, they know Muslims are different. So now being different is part of the campaign to spread Islam. You're going to have to make that sacrifice. Don't feel shy to be different, because being different is quite normal. Everybody's different. And obviously nowadays you talk about freedom this and freedom that. So exercise your freedom and say, I'm different because I'm Muslim. I pray, therefore I'm different from you. I don't drink, therefore I'm different from you. I fast, therefore I'm different from you. I go for Hajj, therefore I'm different. I respect my parents, therefore I'm different from you. I don't cheat, lie, deceive, swindle. I don't backbite. I don't hurt people, therefore I'm different. So being different doesn't mean you're weird. It just means that you have guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the guidance in the action is what's going to impress the non-Muslim. And that is something we should take from Ramadan, that if you want to spread hidayah and guidance, tawfiq, then we have to do it in such a way that our actions speak louder than our words and so on. And you don't have to do too much. As I said, when people look at you and you wear, mashallah, hijab, and you have a scarf, you're already different. Okay, so what's the problem? Okay. Why can't you just be a bit more different and show them the value of Islam, the value of Islamic ethics and moral behavior and all of that? So go all the way. You've already donned a scarf. So now go all the way and say, okay, I'm going to show you what else is different about me. That I'm kind, I'm polite, I'm respectful, I'm noble, I'm willing to help, I'm willing to accommodate, and I can do everything with this nobility of the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a very noble man. He was the most noble of all people. So his nobility spoke volumes when he was talking to people, addressing people, and so on. But all of this comes into play once we get our act together. And that being a proper Muslim requires, and please don't get me wrong, I'm not defending anybody. And that is that, okay, when we go to the masjid, do we put our shoes on the shoe racks? Or are they all over the place? Are they there in such a way that if someone comes and trips, they could break their neck because you haven't aligned the shoes properly? These small adab, which are not small, and these small etiquettes, they go a long way into developing the character in the Muslim. If I'm in a masjid and the baby is crying, so I'm allowed to be in a masjid. What's the big deal? It's not a big deal that your child is in the masjid. The big deal is that the child is disturbing everybody else's prayer. That's what the big deal is. Therefore, do something about it. Remove yourself so that others are not disturbed by prayer. That's called discipline. That's called adab. Do you park your car in such a way that is going to block somebody That's discipline or not discipline. So I'm saying these adab that we have in our what we call Muslim civilizational values, they have to be adapted, maintained, and it is part of the hidayah. Um, The hidayah is not just that you read the Quran for 10 hours and you do tahajjud and you fast. Hidayah is all inclusive. You follow the pattern of life with Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he would do nothing to hurt anyone else. And he was always organized in his mind, in his life, in his house, in his clothing, in his wudu, in his salat, in his thinking. He was super organized. And therefore, we as Muslims must take hidayah very seriously, and it has to be comprehensive. It has to be holistic hidayah, not just piecemeal and partial hidayah. And that is what the Muslims did when they were ruling the world. You don't rule the world because you are, not organized, or you're not disciplined, or you're not on time. You can't run a khilafah if you're always late. But how long did we, rule? 1,000 years at least, maybe more. So we became a power because of our civilizational values and the way we acted and interacted and reacted with other human beings. That is the Furqan, the criterion. I think so. This is the benefits of Ramadan are so many. The barakat of Ramadan are just so many and so huge. And the hidayah that comes with Ramadan is so obvious in terms of the macro hidayah. But in the micro hidayah, we need to do some work. In terms of the civilizational values, in terms of the nitty gritty, down to earth, daily chores, we need to do a bit more. We need to be much better than that. I mean, show other people that our masjid is a place that is, mashallah, hygienic, clean, welcoming. It is not something that is unorganized, and where the masahif, they're not on the shelves, or they're everywhere to be found, and people are doing things in an organized way, systematic way. Where that's where the micro hidayah needs to be taken care of. But that's with the individual and collective Muslims. The Muslim must be now very careful that when they, if I usually say that if you were to, invite a non-Muslim, say perhaps to the masjid or to a Muslim organization or to a Muslim event, okay, how would they judge you? They'll judge you by your manners, they'll judge you by your organization, they'll judge you by your coordination, because that's the only way they know how to look. They'll judge you by, are you on time or not on time. That's the only way they know. That's the only way they think. No, that might be okay. Well, they should be worried about their akhirah and jannah and trying to avoid jahannam. Yeah, but you have to make it easy for them. Make it easy for the non-Muslim to be attracted to Muslim events and Muslim venues, and most of all, Muslim people. If we have that in us, then there's no reason why no person in the West would not convert, because the hidayah is obvious. It's right in front of them. They'll just eat it up. And to be honest and fair with you, they're actually looking for this. People, when we walk down in the streets of Chicago and maybe even London, and you talk to people on the ground, they're looking for something to cling on to that is not artificial and not superficial. People are hungry. People are thirsty. So we have to become the beacons of light, the beacons of hidayah that is with us in Ramadan through the Quran. Once we now take on that nur, and keep that nur with us so that we show others the nur, the guidance and the tawfiq then there will be, inshallah, a mass conversion throughout the world. But if Muslims do not take care of these minor issues at the micro level, they don't care how they stand up in saf, in behind the imam, their lines are not straight. Or as I said, their shoes are all over the place. Or they waste water when they make wudu, or their bathrooms are not up to standard. Or there's always disturbance in the background, and there's noise and arguing and bickering and so on. We had an incident just the other day, a few days ago, where they had to call the police into the masjid. So what kind of guidance is that, that you have police in the masjid? Because there were altercations. The email said there were altercations, and there were children who were abandoned, and there were children who were sleeping everywhere, and there were people who parked their cars in the wrong way, and they had fights in the masjid. Now, is that hidayah? That's not hidayah. Meaning we didn't take care of the adab, the etiquettes, the micro hidayah, that which makes us a civilization. Micro hidayah makes us a civilization. Civilization is not there in theology or the macro. The civilization is now when people appreciate the value of who they are and what they are and what they do. But if we don't appreciate that we have to be clean, hygienic, courteous, honest, disciplined, organized, on time, then we don't have a civilization. We have a lot of slogan we've been using for 120 years, mashallah, since Turkey, the Ottomans disappeared. You know where that got us. Right? So the slogans don't help. Actions help. But actions are of two types. One are the micro and the other the macro. Hidayah encompasses both. The Prophet ﷺ came to give us hidayah in everything that's micro. He showed us how to clip our nails. Do you know there's a sunnah method of clipping your nails? Oh, wow, I didn't know that. He said, well, now you know. Find out from the ulama, what is the sunnah way to clip your nails? That's how much micro hidayah the Prophet ﷺ gave us. He showed us how to use the miswak. It's not just the miswak. There's a sunnah way to use the miswak. Is it upwards or downwards? Find out from the ulama. There's a sunnah way to, preserve the dignity of the mushaf. How do you carry the mushaf in your hand? It's not haphazard as if you're carrying a newspaper and there you can sit against the wall of the masjid and have your legs spread out until kingdom come and you're reciting the Quran. That is not the adab. That is not a civilizational value. It could be a sin, but you can't do that. Be lackadaisical and casual. Oh, it's just the Quran. No, it's not just the Quran. It is the book of Allah, the most precious document in the universe. Treat it so. You can't hold it without wudu because that's the respect we give to the Quran. So these micro lessons that the Prophet ﷺ taught us, they're called the sunnah. They're called the adab. They're called the etiquettes. They're called the mustahabbat. We can't afford to ignore them because those are the values that make us a civilization. And once we get there, we will see the difference in our attitude, the difference in how people look at us, the difference in whether people talk to us. You'll see the difference in your own children. Inshallah, mashallah. Well, I'm going off on a bit of a Friday khutbah lecture, but anyway, there you go. Anyway, so this is about, mashallah, the last few moments of Ramadan, where it's time to reflect, time to give shukr for the hidayah, tawfiq Allah has given. So we sit down and say, Alhamdulillah, this is good. I managed to recite the Quran so much. I managed to do tahajjud. I managed to fast. I managed to do iftar. I managed to make dua. I managed to feed other people. All of these are gifts of hidayah from Allah, and we should be grateful that Allah gave us that tawfiq. Then at the same time, evaluate your micro. Sit down, evaluate your micro. Am I doing things the way the Prophet ﷺ did things? Or am I just haphazard, nonchalant? I don't care. As long as I do my tahajjud, I'm fine. The Sahaba weren't like that. They incorporated Islam holistically, comprehensively, and totally, which is what the Quran demands. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu dkhulu fi silmi kafa. O you who believe, enter into Islam totally, comprehensively, completely, holistically. When we do that, then you have hidayah. Anyway, this is not over yet. You still have a few more moments, a few more days, a couple more days to make dua and ask for tawfiq at the macro level, tawfiq at the micro level. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you the tawfiq to follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to make you a beacon of nur in such a way that when people look at you, they come into Islam. We make dua for this to happen. We make dua for the people who are hosting this wonderful event and Al-Balagh managers and coordinators. We make dua that Allah keep them safe and sound and preserve them and give them tawfiq and accept all their efforts. We make dua for the Muslim Ummah to be guided towards Jannah. Inshallah, we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows all of us to enter Jannah without any hisab in the company of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Amin ya Rabbal Alameen. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.